All right, hi, I'm Xander Mitman. I work at Salesforce. I'm the product manager for Lightning Console. Does anyone use Lightning Console for their own personal preference for Salesforce? All right, sometimes. It's not for everyone, but it's for a lot of people. Let's see. So I will be talking about roadmap stuff. So forward-looking statement, safe harbor, don't buy anything we haven't built. And thank you for being here. I worked at 8 startups over 15 years before joining Salesforce 2 years ago, and I would have killed for a community who was talking about using something that I worked on. I never even worked at a platform, so all of this is new to me, and it's amazing. Thank you for taking time, especially out of your personal lives, to be here. It's amazing. So a little bit about what my team does. We're called Navigation Experience. We're a Lightning Console team. I was hired as the product manager for Lightning Console, but we said, well, let's look at navigation across essentially the desktop app. But you see everything on the page, right? Everything matters to your use case, your business, your nonprofit, whatever. But I basically drink a few beers and then I look at Salesforce. Like, all right, I just care about boxes on the page and how they fit together. And what if you put a URL into the browser and stuff like that? So I look at it at a very abstract layer, and I'm on platform. So we sit below Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, like anybody building anything on the platform. 100% of Lightning users are my users. We do a bunch of stuff. One is JavaScript APIs. Is anybody here a front-end developer? Would consider them primarily a front-end developer. Could hack their way through front-end development if they had to. All right, so you're my kind of people. We're 100% front-end. And I think all day, every day about productivity. I try to get out in the field at least once a month, sitting with end users. And my version of usability test is do your job. I don't know anything about it, but usually I can sit there and just sort of like watch the puzzling looks on their faces, and I'm like, oh, maybe we should do something better there. So usually I'm sitting with an admin, with a business analyst, with a trainer, or something like that, and like between the platform, other clouds in Salesforce, and the implementation, there's always something we can make better. So that's really what I focus on, with ideally a sprinkling of user delight across the top. I come from consumer software. I don't write code myself. My background is mechanical engineering. But I've always been focused on user experience and usability, so that's my forte. But I have a strong case of FOMO, fear of missing out, going on right now, because I recently did a landscape survey, if you will, of navigation across the ecosystem, primarily web apps, and I see these left rails with icons all over the place, but we don't have anything like that in Lightning. Has anyone here built a really cool Visualforce app that has like super custom things that have really rich user experience? I've seen some crazy things out there where people in Visualforce could build a whole app and really focus on branding, user experience, things like that. But variations on the theme that we don't have an answer to in Lightning. But does anyone remember anything interesting about Salesforce that this slide might remind you of? No? OK, so winter 16, Lightning 1.0 actually launched with a left rail. And it was out in 2 releases in GA with this design. I had to like hack this up, or not hack this up. I had to like go through my network of institutional knowledge to find this, because we don't talk about it a lot internally. It's not like, oh, that was a great idea, we need to bring it back. It's like, that was a huge mistake. Let's not do that again. But maybe the time has come. But the hardest thing about, So also, since we've been talking about this on my team for probably 6 months or a year, it's like I can't not see it anymore. I see it on web TV apps anymore, like the Netflix app and Disney Plus, YouTube, the web TV thing with the magic remote from LG. It's all left navs. I see it on the desktops or the seat back entertainment system on United when I'm flying around the world. I see it on my kids' Minecraft on their iPad. So it's like, I think that we have to do something in this area, but it has to be super easy for people to adopt. No customization, no code required. But there is a developer sub-talk here, which is in a couple slides. But change management is so critical. I've made some major gaffes in my 2 years at Salesforce and learned quickly that you can't just change things on people unless there's a really, really good reason. So we're already heading in this direction of sort of decoupling what an app is from the presentation layer, from the user experience. So one thing my team is working on, it's in pilot now, is the ability to have an app, whatever, think of your navigation items and your page layouts and your assignments and all those things. And we're working on a feature where you can have standard navigation and console navigation in one app. So let's say you rolled Lightning out to your users, and you're like, oh, of course everyone should be using standard navigation. And then 2 years later, you realize you need omni-channel. And you're like, well, do we move all our users to a new app or whatever? So we're just going to create a checkbox for you. You can just turn on console navigation, and then end users can choose. If you have both on, we'll display it to the end user, and half your users might want standard, half might want console. So we're already going in that direction. So going back to more of a visual navigation, you could picture that we could extend this framework that we've already built out to have lots of different styles for this. And if you're what I would call an enlightened admin, and you say, yeah, let everybody have every option and let them choose as long as everything just works, maybe you turn on all of these. Or if you say, oh, I want everybody to have consistency, I'm just going to turn on one, you as an admin would have the choice to do that. So I think this is sort of like in the big enough to matter category that we just have to figure out when to make it happen. To me, it's not a question of if. But so the main benefits here are that it's familiar, because usability is really contextual. It's not like, I mean, you could show, let's say you showed that Lightning 1.0 to a new user on Salesforce has never used Classic, wasn't worried about switching. They might have said, hey, this works great. It was really because people were switching from Classic, where you have the tabs across the top, and then you put it on the side. I'm sure there were internal conversations at Salesforce at the time that said, hey, how hard could that be? You just transpose your mental model of Salesforce and it's fine. Well, it wasn't fine. But let's say you're moving from, say, a Salesforce competitor where they have the left rail, and then you say, well, we need something bigger, better, whatever. You want to move to Salesforce. Maybe having that left rail will help make that first week of adoption in Salesforce that much better. So the familiar is the main one, and there are other benefits and things we have to do to make sure that it's easy to adopt. But that's sort of all in the declarative world. The one I would love to have a discussion about here, and feel free to reach out to me anytime, is more around the customization one. Like, what if we said, right now we give you a lot of customization options within the framework of the navigation of the app, even in the utility bar, but not in the navigation itself, like the navigation items or the header. So that's sort of my question here is, if we gave you the keys to the kingdom for the broader Chrome around Salesforce, what would you do with that? I don't want to presume that I have any idea what your use cases are. I've seen a lot of things talking with customers who are already hacking that either through maybe a background utility or a Chrome extension. For example, one thing I've seen is they can make the Lightning console tabs thinner so you have more room for the content. I've seen that a couple times in contact centers where they say every 2 seconds saved is millions of dollars a year, that kind of math. So I think there will be a Q&A session kind of later where we can talk about these things.
Yeah, we're going to save Q&A, hold it till the end, because we'll have time at the end where we can all talk. So
okay, all right.
People who are more comfortable just speaking to you.
Okay, sure. So this is one of the biggest questions that I'm thinking about. Like, is there a problem big enough to solve that we should build technology to do these kinds of things? So next steps. In general, I put my whole roadmap more or less on the idea exchange. You can go to sftc.co/Xander's roadmap, and it just has a link to all the ideas that my team's working on. More or less, I'm just thinking like, which one should we move up or down? This is about a 10-year roadmap at our team's current throughput, so these things matter. I work in Salesforce OS. I'm happy to meet up anywhere. I have unlimited budget to buy beers or the beverage of your choice. There's my email, Twitter handle. There's a great Salesforce Ohana Slack work group. I don't know if a lot of people have joined that, but that's great for like real-time communications with customers and so on. And that's not a Salesforce thing. That's like, I'm like, hey, what's this? And I enjoyed it, and great conversations there. So that's it for me. Thanks for listening.